Welcome to the YouTube channel. And to make an extremely long story short, exactly. Yeah. Sunday was a lot of fun. Oh, I want to go wheeling some more. Anyways, we're back at the shop. We're back to working. We got a lot to do. And right behind me is a 2006 Gx470, and we have a laundry list of stuff to take care of on it. We got a lift kit, wheels, tires, rear bumper, air compressor, and a couple other stuff I'm not quite sure of. But we have a ton to do. We're gonna skip all the introductions and we're gonna get straight to it. I'm gonna go ahead and tear apart this front suspension and get going on the lift kit because I need to get this done today, if not by latest tomorrow morning. So we got a ton to do. So come on guys, let's go. Before we start yanking out the strut and the upper control arm, because we are putting new upper control arms on this one, is we need to get the sway bar out and the bottom bash guard off. That bash guard. What skid plate? That words. I'm literally so pumped on this build. I can't even talk. So let's just get to tearing stuff apart. All right, now we're free to start working on the shock system and getting that stuff out, so let's get to it. I don't know why I do this to myself. One, the hood strut is awful and it knocked me on the head. That freaking hurt. Second of all, I got the other side out. So we got both old shocks out and I already kind of put the new ones in. So it's bad on me. But now that I got the new shocks in, we can go ahead and replace the upper control arms with the new SPCs. So we're gonna go ahead and start tearing that apart. And if you haven't done these before, I recommend getting the truck as low to the ground as possible because you're gonna need to access the top and the bottom at the same time. So for you do it at home, people, it should be easier. So we need to move this actual brake line out of the way. And that's going to allow us to access. That's going to allow us to access this nut back here for the upper control arm. Now we can go ahead and push this bolt up forward. You get that bolt out as far as you can. It's a very long one and it's going to get eventually stuck on the power steering hose. Then we have to go move up top and then move it out of the way. Freedom! Now the other side. Up here in my hand, you see it? There's a 10mm bolt bracket. It's easier to access it from the top. All right, now with that bracket out of the way, we can go ahead and push this bolt in. Push that harness out of the way. Now, there might be occasions where the A-arm bolt is gonna get stopped by the battery, and just loosen up the battery, lift it up a little bit, and get the bolt out of the way. So grab it from the top. Okay, so I had to do that thing where I loosen up the battery, lift up the battery a little bit, and then I can get the rest of the bolt forward enough to get it out. Now that I'm at that far, the arm can come out. Awesome. Bella! You gonna show us what arms we're getting? Okay, so what we have here is the SPC uppers. We personally really like these because it allows us to align the truck in basically as good as the stock setup is, which is great because that's going to give you a really good on-road feeling, and it's gonna not wear the tires. And the cool thing is that the bushings are like a swivel or free floating, I guess is the best way to put it, where it's going to give you more articulation and it's going to give a softer feeling in the front end. So let's get these guys on. So the install is actually pretty easy. It's just reversal of what we just did. So we're just going to go ahead and put these on, run the bolt through it, and then we're going to torque the nut that goes on this side. We're going to torque it down to 85 foot-pounds. Make sure that this cable sits on the outside of the arm and not on the inside. Just like that. Once I get both sides put back together, then we can bring the truck back up to normal height and torque everything down. Okay, I got the other side in. I got the bolt all the way through it. Now we're going to go ahead and torque these upper nuts up to 85 foot-pounds. We can also tighten down this brake line bracket right here. Follow that with 15 foot-pounds. Okay, so next up we have is the upper ball joints, the new ones from SPC. And these are interesting because they are not centered. I'll show you here in a second. So on top of here, camera, there we go. You can see this rectangle and these keyways right here. And there's a hex right here. This allows me to clock and set the ball joint in many, many different directions to get many different types of alignments. But this one's gonna get our standard alignment, so dead centered, and then on the upper control arm, there is a slot, and we're gonna push it all the way outwards to get as most positive camber as I can get. So, yee. Next, we're going to cut our holding zip tie that's holding the knuckle in place. And then we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way. We're going to go ahead and put on our ball joint. All right. While I was installing the driver's side, I wanted to mention that make sure that the SPC lettering is pointing towards you. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten the ball joint to the knuckle, and that's going to be at 82 foot-pounds. And don't forget to put your cotter pin. So this top nut here for the top of the ball joint torques down to 150 foot-pounds, but for right now, I'm just going to snug it in. Once my alignment is done and I'm happy where it's at, and I don't have to move the ball joint, then I go ahead and torque it down to 150 foot-pounds. But for right now, we're just going to snug it down just enough to not move when I put the truck back on the ground. And we can go ahead and put all of our hardware for the ABS wire back onto the A-arm. Now to repeat on both sides, and we're good. All right, now that we got the front pretty much taken care of, let's go ahead and take the rear tires off and let's start taking care of the back. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, but it's something new. Don't judge me. So right here, this is the accumulator tank for the air springs in the back. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is to disconnect these lines right here. I've already taken the safety clips off of them. And now the next step is that we need to go ahead and pull these hoses out. There's two little portholes here for clips, and a lot of people would think that you would have to push these in to get these air lines out, but in reality, you gotta go inside from here and pry them out while pulling at the same time. There you go. Now the other one. What the fuck did I do? All right, now with our accumulator deflate, or our lines to our airbags are free and discharged, these no longer have any air pressure behind them. So we can actually almost lift them up off of the axle. You can't see anything, but yeah, see how I can move this under here? So we're free to take these out. Now there's one more thing we have to do. So our next step to get the air spring out, there's this little clip. I already took off the driver's side, but there's this little clip that sits on top of the air spring and that holds the air spring in place. And we need to go ahead and take that out. So when we do that, we're gonna come over here towards the wheel well, so like so. And if I zoom in, this little guy right here is that spring. I like using these guys right here. They just seem to have the width to kind of grab the spring and pull it out. So the little retainer. And these always seem to point towards the back of the vehicle. So I just grab it and then I just wiggle it and it's up. You can kind of see it right there. That is the airlines right here, and this one will go all the way down to this cross member to that airbag right there. And then this one's quite simple. It goes up here on top of the spring perch for the top of the frame, and there's one clip holding there. We're gonna pop those off, and then we're gonna go ahead and get the air springs out. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get the shock out of the back now, and we're gonna need to go ahead and put a pull jack, or if you're on the ground, use a jack to hold the axle up, because once you loosen that shock from the upper mount, the axle's gonna drop significantly, and usually I recommend doing the top first and then the bottom. So let's get to it. Where's my manners? Ooh, I forgot. We need to undo the sway bar on the back first. So let me do that real quick. All right, we're gonna need a little bit of persuading fluid. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the other side as well. Okay, I believe these are 17 millimeter at the top. And I am correct. Now, as you can see, as I'm turning this, it's turning the whole shock. So we need to go ahead and hold that still. Because I'm not reusing these and these are gonna go in the trash anyways, I'm okay, I feel safe just using this to take them off. So I'm just gonna hold that there and pinch it. And then I can go ahead and loosen this up. Take the washer out and then the top bushing. Okay. All right. Now we can go ahead and do, there's a 17 millimeter bolt at the bottom. Let's move to that over. Nah, well, I'll show you. Let's do this. There's this bolt right here, and we're gonna go ahead and take this bolt out, and then the shock is free to come out. Okay. Give it to me. Pry bar. Guys, I'm not kidding when I say this is our bread and butter lift kit. We love it. It's just got, it's good pricing. You get a ton for your money. It performs fantastic off-road and on-road. I mean, you just can't ask for more. For what you can spend on Kings just for front and rear shocks, you can get this whole Aluma 2.5 kit with upper control arms and springs. The King kit doesn't even come with springs. Not saying that the King is worse. If you have the money and that's not really a problem for you, go Kings. But if you're trying to get the most bang out of your buck, this kit's gonna knock it out of the park for you. There's nothing else I can say about it. Okay, now that we're gonna go ahead and put on our rear springs, usually what I like to do is I like to start on the driver's side first, where the panhard bar is. It's just the hardest one, and once you get this side in, the other side is a breeze. So that's usually what I like to do. Our coil spring conversion kit that we like to use is Metal Tech. We've tried a lot of different brands. This one so far is the one that works best for us, and we love it. Our second top choice is the one from Southern Style Off-Road. Those guys make a pretty good kit as well, and it's adjustable. But for our application, we like the Metal Techs right now, just a little bit better. So this cup, that basically what it does is it centers the spring onto the live axle, keeping the spring from moving around. Because this was an airbag shock that was going on this live axle, it doesn't have the proper perch like what you would see on a 5th gen, 4th gen 4Runner. So that's just one extra step you have to take towards when you're doing a lift kit on a Gx470 and 460 as well, or the 4Runners with the airbag suspension, but those are pretty rare. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take this cup, and this cup will sit on top of here, the perch, and then it'll be bolted in. There's a hole where you can stick a bolt through it, and I'll show that in a second. But when I go to install, I don't like to primarily put this cup in first. I actually put this cup in last, giving me more room to get the spring into place. So let's go ahead and take care of that. We're gonna go ahead and take our bump stop here. This is the factory one. This is also included in the Metal Tech kit. And this is gonna go into our new spring here. I'm gonna take the rubber insulator for the perch kit, and we're gonna go ahead and put that into place. Now that that's all taken care of, I can go ahead and put the spring into its spot. Oh, that was a big pain. I forgot that these were actually heavy duty springs because we're putting a rear bumper on it, so I just made our... it was uncharacteristically difficult. So, now that I got it in, I went ahead and put the cup into the spot, which fits right between the springs right here, this slot, and once you're in there, you just slide it in the hole with the grommet. I put the bolt in it, and then we're gonna go ahead and tighten it down. All right, so now we get to put our shocks on. And we wanna go ahead and put the bottom end first, and then we work on the top. And we gotta compress this shock. before we let the shock all the way up, I want to go ahead and get this bushing in place. So now we can go ahead and get our washer up top. Be careful not to drop it because you're going to have a hard time getting it back. Same thing with the nut. This is the only part that sucks. Just like that. Lost it. I gotta go dig it out. I've been fighting this for a minute. So I took the nut from the other shock because at the time, the camera can adjust there. The one that came with this one fell that way, and there's a pocket of steel that way, and I'm trying to get it out and I can't, and I've been fighting this for 30 minutes. Bleeding time. That's all I'm doing is bleeding time. Dang it. Alrighty, the rear suspension is done. We're finally, I used to knock this out in like an hour and a half, maybe 1 hour. Almost spent like 3 hours on it. I was fighting it so hard. It's just, it's been a while. I've been working on projects for too long. So it's been really refreshing going back to something I'm not quite used to doing anymore. So yeah, we still need to put the front sway bar back on, and then after that, we're pretty much done with the lift kit for now. We can't really do the alignment until we have it on the ground. It's gonna be a while before we do that because we still gotta do rear bumpers, sliders, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's gonna do it for this episode, and I am instantly gonna start working on the rear bumper, so catch that on the next video.